Hello VC, I am here to do a contest response for Stavros the Spinnin Greek. He's been a long time watcher and commenter, and within this past year or so he just up and decided to do videos, and I'm very thankful for that. He has had a tendency to get me into trouble. I like his musical taste. We are made up of some very similar musical DNA, so to speak. And just to show you a couple of examples where he has gotten me in trouble. So, his previous video, he featured this album. And this is Talk. And this is just fantastic space rocky type stuff. And double LP. A nice gatefold jacket. Pressed it GZ vinyl like I'm showing you here, but it's not bad, so I recommend checking it out. Now, just to show you another thing, this one is Marvin Whoremonger from Now Again Reserve. This is a fantastic rare club that finds those extremely rare items that most people don't know, and they do a quarterly release. Everything that they put out has been pressed at QRP, and it's on a Stoughton jacket. They include a CD of it and also a high-res download, and everything is limited to 1,000 copies, so you may want to check them out. I mean, again, it's a little bit pricey, but the stuff that they're putting out, you can get a return on your investment if you don't like it. I guarantee it. Now, Stavros had 4 questions, and Stavros, I hope you don't mind. Some of your questions would be very, very difficult for me to answer, so I try to bound the problem, and I'm trying to keep everything to 2016. Now, 2016 has been a very interesting year in that there's only been a few releases that have really wowed me. I mean, there's been a lot of good stuff. I mean, you mentioned Bowie's Black Star, which I felt was really good, but it didn't wow me like some of the other Bowie releases, especially some of the stuff that he was putting out in the 70s. It was a nice effort, and I think it was a nice end cap to his career and unfortunate passing. But in terms of 2016 itself, the one album that I felt was a good end cap to a trilogy of albums is The Glowing Man by Swans. If you're not familiar with the Swans, they've been around since the 80s. They're very experimental, but there's a lot of thought that Michael Girard, the lead of the band, puts into the music, and it's more cinematic in scope. I mean, the tracks that you're going to find, at least on the previous 3 albums, they're not pop by any means, and they're not something that you're going to play on repeat, because a lot of the tracks, some of them exceed 20 minutes in length, and in each of the albums he's exploring different themes. This one is like death and the afterlife, exploring those themes. There's a lot of repetitive rhythms within his music, but there's always something interesting going on in the background, and it's always building up to some climax. And this is just fantastic. It's the last part in a 3 LP set. Now, this is pressed at RTI, like I'm showing you here, and yeah, it's great to have it on LP. I love it, but since a lot of the tracks exceed like 28 minutes in length, sometimes they have to split the track, and that's what I don't like necessarily about the album versions. Sometimes this is better suited for a CD, and this is something that you actually have to sit through and hear the whole 2-hour piece. And his other 2 records in this trilogy have been very much like it. This just happens to be The favorite in my trilogy, and you know, if you look at 2014, a lot of people had this on their top 10 list, and this is To Be Kind. You know, this is really what broke me into this band, and I've just been digging into their back catalog. And then the first part of the trilogy is the Seer, which Michael Giroir commented that he was trying to take everything from the band's history and like throw it into one LP set. And again, each of these is over 2 hours in length. I recommend going to the website Young Gods, which is run by Giroir, and ordering from there, because, you know, I don't know how well this is going to show up, but everything that I've ordered from them, he's autographed. So the Seer features Karen O from the Yeah 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 band, so definitely check that out. So that right now is probably my favorite from 2016. Second question was, show me a band that you may not be aware of. So, you know, you've introduced me to a lot. Hopefully you don't know this band, but the next one I got to show you is Tobacco. So, Tobacco is a very interesting band. This is not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but this is just fuzzed out, electronic, experimental. This one has some poppier catches compared to a couple of their previous LPs, and they're just really hard to describe because, you know, I've never found anything quite like them at all. Right now, Ghostly International is putting out their releases. Ghostly goes through GZ, probably through Pirates Press. This one just happens to be a nice blue variant, and that would be one that I recommend checking out and just sampling. If it's not your cup of tea, hey, no harm, no foul. Question number 2, album artwork. Again, I tried to bound it to 2016. I mean, you featured the book by Hypnosis, and you know, all of his album artwork is iconic, but I had to go with the new release by Goat. I think this is by far my favorite LP artwork of them, and Goat is a Swedish band. Their albums are not always the same. So they live on a commune, I want to say, in Gothenburg, and they perform in masks. They use a lot of old style original instrumentation. This is very different from their previous album, which I prefer, which is Commune. And Commune is like pagan doom metal. It has more of a worldly vibe to it. There's like Polynesian rhythms in some parts, and it's totally different from Commune. And I did enjoy it, but not as much. And all of their stuff has this nice die cut cover for the most part, except for the one live release. And I got to say that those guys, and I have to credit Jonas for this, because he exposed me to International Harvester, which is also from Sweden from the 60s, and they're psych, and you know, they use earth sounds, and you know, they use a lot of old style instruments in terms of some of the psych rock that they're putting out. I'd love to have an original LP of this, but even the reissues are through the roof. So International Harvester, if you just caught Goat, you got to check these guys out. They're really good. I think you can still find the CD, but the LPs, even this Finnish unofficial release, I mean, it goes for close to $200 on the aftermarket. Fourth question. Show us one of your favorite instrumental albums. So for 2016, I got to go for the Hedvig Mollestad Trio. They're from Norway. This is a gatefold. It was done on Optimal, and these guys are like a fusion of jazz, rock, and doom metal. So it's a three-piece trio, of course, led by Hedvig Mollestad, which I'm showing you here. And this is really good. I mean, this is something that you could put on the background if you're into the fusion of jazz and like doom metal. Then yeah, definitely check these guys out. Your last question was, show us something music related that's not an album or a CD. I'm gonna go for a book in this case because this has been very influential to me, and you know, I'd be lying if there wasn't a piece that didn't influence me quite a bit. So I am a huge Led Zeppelin fan, and I really discovered them in college. I mean, I knew of them, you know, playing in the background like Stairway to Heaven, but I never really dove into them until I got into college, and then I plowed all the way through their studio catalog and, you know, was playing it nonstop. But once you've plowed through the studio catalog and your favorite artist isn't putting things out anymore, I went for this. And there's been a couple of incarnations of this guy. This is the third version, but this is the last one that was in print. And I don't think this has been back in print since the 90s. And this is basically the guide to the bootlegs. And you know, when your favorite band isn't putting out stuff anymore, a lot of people who love their bands want to delve further into what was recorded illegitimately, so to speak. And this was my guide by Louis Ray. And I mean, he does an extensive write-up of like every concert. He talks about the tape quality, what the highlights of what the band had done. And I like bands that, you know, they're young, they're raw, they're taking risks, and Led Zeppelin to me was at their best probably from 69 to 71. I mean, they were very raw. I mean, they were willing to take risks when they were playing live, and when they got to about 73, then it became more formulaic. I mean, they had the same set list over and over again. That's not to say they had some brilliant concerts post 73, but really most of their official stuff, like the song remains the same. That's just a pale imitation of what has been recorded illegitimately. And you know, the song remains the same is not a very good representation of what the band could do live. I mean, the movie it's very interesting to watch, but really the bootlegs are where it's at for a lot of these bands. And you know, this just happened to be my guide. So Stavros, I hope this answers the mail. I am just happy to do a response and get a little more attention on your channel, because I think it's just fantastic what you have to show. So you don't have to even put me in the contest. I'm just content to do a response. And for those that have been watching me thus far, thank you for sticking around.